Very nice. Looks good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, we are live in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey, welcome everyone. It's WKYC's Facebook Live. 3 News. I gotta make sure I get this right. 3 News is Facebook Live and also
We are still
YouTube.
technically WKYC.com.
Oh, yeah, we haven't changed it, but I gotta remember we're brand new. I'm Dave DeNatale. That's Tyler Carey. It's Wednesday, and that means it's time to talk about our high school football game of the week. I think we gave you 3 great options, and we got a lot of responses from you in return. Our nominees, Strongsville at Brunswick, Chardon at Mayfield, and Eastlake North at Willoughby South. And Tyler Carey, the winner is...
Eastlake North and Willoughby South, the bitter rivalry from 2 in-district Lake County foes. Dino, this
Rangers and Rebels, baby.
60th meeting between these 2 bitter rivalries. I am really excited.
I am too. I've always wanted to call, since I started doing high school football in this area, I've always wanted to call the game. I have friends who went to both schools who are like, you haven't experienced a rivalry. I grew up in Strongsville and part of the Strongsville-Brunswick rivalry, and it's like, you see a lot of the great ones around in high school football, but like, you haven't done a North-South game, you haven't experienced it. Well, we're going to experience it Friday, and these 2 teams are both playing pretty well, I think, to start the year. 3-1 Rebels, 2-2 Rangers, but I'm going to give North a bit of a pass because everybody who plays Kenston is going to run into an absolute raging inferno of a machine of a football team. But both teams playing pretty well here to come into this rivalry game.
Yeah, early on, South is actually 3rd in the 5th region in Division II right now, so they're certainly off to a good start after a couple of down years for them. Both teams went 2-8 last year. North, as I mentioned, 2-8 last year. But just 2 years ago, they made their first ever playoff appearance. And the one thing they've got to be feeling good about, Dino, last year they beat the Rebels first time in 14 games.
Yeah.
They had been on a 14-game losing streak in this rivalry before last year when they finally got that win. Even in the year that they went to the playoffs,
they lost to South.
And that was South's only win of the year.
Yeah. So see, it defines your season. It absolutely can define your season. But it's always great when both these teams are off to good starts, and I think that's where we're at. And I'm excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And the fact that you're also talking about playoff points and percentage points, that has a lot to do with it. How was the vote? I mean, we had. I see you have the vote in front of you.
Well, we had over 6,500 votes,
That's
which
great.
is a pretty good number for it. I don't know if we're going to match the 55,000.
No, I don't think so.
There may have been a few glitches involved there, but 6,500, a pretty good turnout. 51% of the vote going to the North-South game. Your alma mater, Strongsville, Brunswick, coming in a bit of a distant second.
I thought that was going to be the game to beat. Strongsville's 4-0. Brunswick lost on the last play of the game, to Hudson last week? Or to Solon, that's right.
Pat McQuaid, a game-winning touchdown with 8 seconds left.
So, I mean, I thought that would probably be the game that would probably get the most votes. But, I mean, this was pretty overwhelming, and good job by the members of the Willoughby Eastlake School District community for getting out and voting. WESD getting out and getting the vote.
It tells you cannot discount the passion.
Yes.
Of these smaller, even though they're D2, but these smaller districts, these small town districts, they really love their high school football, especially these big rivalry games. Just to talk, Dino, about a couple of players to watch in this game. For Willoughby South, Rico Small, rated currently by 247 Sports, it's the website I normally use, is the 2nd best receiver in all of Northeast Ohio.
Wow. And we've seen some good ones this season.
Currently an Eastern Michigan commit. And then for North, they will have 2 brothers, the Walker brothers, who combined in their last win combined for over 200 yards rushing between the 2 of them.
Wow.
So we're going to see some real good players on this football team. And, of course, we know that some good players have already come out of these schools over the years. So, yeah, this is going to be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's our game Friday. We'll join you again over at South, and I hope you join us for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, we also have our top 5 here as we are now, folks, if you can believe this is week 5. When we're done this weekend, we're halfway through the 2019 regular season. It flies. I'm telling you, it flies every year. As voted by the sports staff of 3 News, here is your top 5 in our high school football poll of this week.
Well, number 1, I think, is no question. It's Mentor. The Mentor Cardinals, after Steve Trevisano got his 200th win this past weekend, 73-0 over the Elyria Pioneers. And I'm not even sure it was that close, to be honest with you. We've already talked about how good they are as a team. Ian Kipp, 4 more touchdown passes to Luke Floria, currently ranked 1st in the Ohio AP poll. And then there are the national rankings.
Yeah, I was going to say, you first kind of brought this up last week that, every week it seems like they're creeping up in the national polls.
I have here the 5 polls where they're ranked in USA Today, 24th. National Prep Poll, 23rd. Max Prep's Excellent 25, 17th. High School Football America, 14th. Max Prep's Freeman Computer Rankings, 11th. In the nation. And they actually dropped one despite beating Elyria
by 73 points.
That's the computers for you. I think they moved up in every
other. But this, I think they'll start to get a little bit more respect as the level of competition in the Greater Cleveland Conference starts to pick up for them. Example, next week they've got to deal with Solon. So
pretty much their easiest game left in that GCC schedule is Shaker Heights, who they're 1-3, but as we saw last week with Strongsville, they're a tough out.
Yeah, that's a tough out. So I wouldn't, but you still got to play Strongsville. They still have to play Brunswick, Medina.
Medina next week, actually.
Yeah. So
they're coming off a tough loss.
Yeah.
We'll get to that a little bit later. Number 2 in the poll out of Division II is the Massillon Washington Tigers.
Yep.
They beat a very good team out of state, Penn Trafford, 42-21 last week. Shout out to Aiden Longwell, had 4 touchdown passes in the game. Now Massillon's all-time leading touchdown passer with 65 on his career. They're second in the AP poll. They get Firestone this week.
Boy, they've always been able to run the football well. You're able to you can mix it in and have a quarterback who can make plays with his arm like that. Boy, they'll make them a tough out when they get to the playoff time.
Aiden Longwell's certainly going to be a player who's going to be playing on Saturdays somewhere in Division I. Number 3, a little bit surprised they were this high, Archbishop Hoban. We know how good Hoban is. I firmly believe that they could beat any team in this top 5. Not saying they would, but they could. They beat an overmatched West Toronto Prep team, 49-13. We knew that was going to happen after the disappointing Ignatius loss.
Told you. I told you, feel bad for whoever they've got.
But to be honest, Dino, as good as they are, they really haven't beaten anybody.
Yeah. They... And I'd have to really look at their schedule from here on in. I think the tough part of their schedule between now and the postseason, I think, was 2 weeks ago.
They do get St. V this week, and they got to play Benedict.
That's a route, and that's a route. And Benny's undefeated.
Yeah.
So there you go.
But that was a game I was maybe looking at as a possible future game of the week. Unfortunately, that game is going to be on Saturday.
Yes.
So we're going to have to pass on that, but that should be a good game
I would love
regardless.
to call that game.
But yeah, Hoban comes in at number 3. They are 4th in the Division II AP.
Yeah, I didn't have them quite that high. I think I had them 4th. I think I had them 4th in mind.
Yeah, but you can't really go against them when they're as good as they are.
No.
Number 4 is St. Edward. The only team they've lost to so far this year is Mentor by a single point. And again, that happened last year where they barely lost to them early in the year and then beat them in the playoffs. That's what matters.
En route to the state title.
Yep. They beat a very good Elder team out of Cincinnati, 42-25 over the weekend. Elder had 60 points in their previous game and is still ranked 9th in the AP poll. St. Edward is 4th. Joseph Romani, 165 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. They take on Winton Woods.
Traditional Division II power. Usually they are always in the Final Four, or, lurking in the playoffs. So that's a good matchup for them.
Currently 3rd in the D2 AP poll. And number 5, we have a new number 5, and it's the team we saw last week, the Euclid Panthers, after beating Medina 43-35. Deion Valentine, 4 total touchdowns. They're 4-0, Dino, for the first time since 2006. But I got to tell you, as good as they are, I'm a little bit concerned about the defense. And I'm a little bit concerned about the way they kind of let their opponents get back into these games.
Well, if you heard, I talked to Jeff Rotsky after the game. That was the first thing he said to me. He goes, I love the fact that we've been on the road 2 straight weeks. They beat McKinley and they beat Medina.
2 very good teams.
2 very good teams. But he said the fact that we couldn't put them away and we gave them a chance. I mean, I'm up there in the booth saying, oh, yeah, Euclid's turned out the lights after Valentine had gotten the touchdown pass because, at that point, I think there were 4 minutes to go and they had that 16-point lead. But, they let Medina get a quick score, come back and get the football again with an opportunity to maybe tie the football game. So they're making it difficult for themselves. Having said that, I love the way Jeff Rotsky coaches them. They need to kind of clean up the penalties a little bit, but I love the way he coaches them. It's a loving family type of a team, and they're a team that's going to be a tough out for anybody in Division I in the playoffs because of their athleticism and because of the way they're coached.
Yeah, and we're going to find out just how good they are as the season goes on, and they have to play Menor and Brunswick and all these other great teams. And again, they've always shown that they can go toe-to-toe with those teams, sometimes beat them. We'll see what they can do assuming they reach the playoffs.
Yeah.
But it's still good on them. They deserve to be number 5 in this poll. Just real quick, some teams that didn't quite make it into our poll.
Also receiving votes, best of the rest.
Avon is currently 6th in D2.
Yeah, I voted them.
Yeah, they beat up on Berea Mid-Park this week. Kenston, the defending state champions, 3rd in Division 3. Perry is 2nd in Division 4. They beat up on Edgewood 56-6. That may be the best offense in the
Sooner
state.
or later, we're going to hopefully try to take a look at them because that offense, if you haven't seen it yet, it's pretty between they and Streetsboro. I think have 2 of the best offenses this side of Kenston in Greater Cleveland.
And finally, out in Division 5, the top 2 teams in Division 5 both hail from Northeast Ohio. 2 defending state champions. How often do you get to say that? Kirtland, number 1. They won in D6 last year. Orville is number 2. Boy, I'd love to see those 2 teams play down
Collision course, baby. They're on a collision course at some point in the playoffs. By the way, Brenda says you want to see a rivalry November 1st. Mark it down. Dover Tornadoes versus the New Philadelphia Quakers.
Look, I would love
if I could get our videographer Brian Crane to agree to drive to New Philadelphia, Brenda, we'll put it as a nominee.
Well, considering
consider it. I promise.
Some of the games that I put on there, like Canton, North Canton, Bellevue, just to really see what his reaction is going to be.
Yes.
Knowing that you wouldn't even go for those games either.
Yes.
Again, I just want to get the rise out of them.
I know. That's the most fun of anything. But rivalry game. I mean, we're getting into this point of the season, and conference play rivalry weeks are coming here. And this week we've got a great one. Again, battle in Lake County. The Willoughby East Lake School District, WESD, clash. The South Rebels hosting the North Rangers. We'll be there Friday night. Hope you'll be there with us. We'll get our coverage started at 6:50. I don't think there's any homecoming delays like we had last week.
Not, no.
So I'm pretty confident 6:50 will be our start time. I hope you'll join us for that. And again, keep following us at WKYC.com for full high school coverage here throughout the season. Tyler, as always, thank you, my friend.
Appreciate it, my man. Always have a good time doing this.
All right. What Matters Most is coming up here at 6 o'clock on 3 News with Russ, Sarah, Betsy, and Jimmy. For Tyler Carey, I'm Dave DeNatale. Thanks for watching our high school football Game of the Week preview right here on 3 News Facebook Live and also on YouTube.